Hello. In this video, I'd like to show you how to use the multiple drag and drop feature. Before multiple drag and drop was released, we created the drag and drop enrichment. This allowed you to move one item on the screen and define an action when that single item entered the action zone you defined. However, if you wanted to drag multiple items on the screen, you had to set up multiple drag and drop enrichments that overlaid one another. The new multiple drag and drop allows you to have multiple movable items all within one enrichment. In this example, I have a robot game. You need to drag the pieces of the robot over the line art robot to match the pieces. As I drag each piece over the correct spot, the piece appears colored and I can no longer drag it. Let me show you how to set this up in InDesign. The first thing I built in InDesign was a frame for the multiple drag and drop enrichment. It is important to note that all items you want to drag must be inside this frame. Then I placed my line art version of the robot on the same layer. The next layer I built was the reveal layer. I dragged all the pieces and put them in the correct spot over the line art. It is important to note that I used layers during this build just to keep myself organized, and also to be able to hide the reveal layer quickly before I rendered the project. I then needed to make my destination frames, or action zones. I decided to just copy all the images I had on my reveal layer and paste them into a new layer called destination area that was below the reveal layer. I then hid the reveal layer and removed all of the images from the frames on the destination layer so that only the frames remained. These frames will be the trigger for the action. Finally, I copied all the images in the reveal layer and put them into a new layer called moving pieces. I then scattered them to the right. Now I have 4 layers. The reveal layer at the top, which will need to be hidden before render so it doesn't show initially, but only after each action zone is activated. Next is the draggable objects in the moving pieces layer. Third is the destination area, which are just empty frames used as action zones. And lastly, I have the multiple drag and drop layer at the bottom that contains the enrichment and the line art. Now that you've seen how the stage was set up, I can show you how to add this enrichment. The first thing I'm going to do is hide the reveal layer. I found it easier to just make the draggable item an action zone first. Then I went back and added the actions for each piece. I'll show you how I set one up so you can see how each piece was set up. You can see in the Ave interactivity panel that I have 6 draggable items for each piece of the robot's body. I'll delete the last one, which is the right leg, and set it up again. I can click the plus sign to add a new draggable item. First, I'll click on Click and Choose a Frame for the frame to drag, and I'll pick the right leg. Then I'll pick the destination zone in the same manner. As I said before, I thought it was easier to set these parts up first, then show the reveal layer and add the action after because of the nature of choosing a frame. Now I'll show the reveal layer. There is actually 2 actions that need to happen. The first one is logical. You would want the right leg to appear after it enters the destination zone. The second one I discovered after my first test, that you would then want the draggable item itself to disappear. So I'll add 2 actions. The first action is to tell the frame using Frame Picker, by using Click and Choose, to reveal the right leg. I'll select the right leg and execute Change Visibility to Visible. Now I'll add the second action. This one will also use Frame using Frame Picker, and I'll choose the draggable leg on the right. This to execute will be to change visibility to hidden. Now all I have to do is hide the reveal layer and render the project. Every time I drag a piece of the robot over the destination area, the colored piece will appear and the draggable item disappears. And this setup is now easier than ever with the new multiple drag and drop enrichment.